Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Badgers Heavy Hitters. Today we got a guest that I've been wanting to get on here. In fact, we've done an interview in the past, but I screwed it up, you know what I mean, as far as the recording goes.
Technology.
Technology, neither one of us, you know, are hit to that technology stuff. So his name's Mitch. I actually thought his last name was a handle, but it's his actual name. I'll let him decide if he wants to put his last name out there. But and he has a channel called Hard Intentions. So
Right.
as a matter of fact, that's how you came to me. Some people were like, "Hey man, have you gotten with Mitch? Have you gotten with Mitch?" And you said vice versa. People were like, "Have you gotten with Badger? Have you gotten with Badger?" So.
Yeah.
I figured I'd get him before he was all over the place, you know, and I guess he's decided that he's not going to be doing many more interviews as far as that goes, which is good. You know what I mean? Keeps him hungry, keeps him coming to your channel. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself, you know what I mean? And then I'll give you the format of how we do my channel, and we'll roll from there, all right?
Sure. My name's Mitch. My last name's Smiley. And I'm up here in the mountains in Northern California, and I have a YouTube channel, Hard Intentions. I have a website, hardintentions.com, where we sell shirts and prints of my artwork, like you can see in the background. And I have Mitch Smiley 790 on Instagram. So
let me ask you this. Did you tattoo inside?
Oh yeah, I've been tattooing since I was about 12 years old.
Okay. So
13
cool, yeah.
around there. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed, I checked out a lot of your artwork, and I was like, right on, man. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let him just get freehanding on me, you know what I mean? So I hate when they lay patterns on you. I'm just like, go, bro, you know?
Yeah.
So I believe we both started no, you didn't start yours there. Okay, so yeah, we share an institution that we both happen to like. Not that we like it, but, you know, I enjoyed DBI, you know, for being where we were. It wasn't a bad place to be. You know, it was active like a motherfucker, but it wasn't a bad place to be. You know, you always had something going on, you know, plumbing, fucking lighting, something going on, you know. It was not a bad joint to be at, you know what I mean? It was, shit was always
as far as
good.
prisons went, it was pretty decent.
Right. Food was like great when I was there, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore, you know.
No, and there's a story behind that food too. Yeah.
Is there now?
Oh yeah.
I'd love to hear that. I know that, you know, basically the Muslims got us screwed up with all that, how it got started, you know, because we'd have to put pork on the line when there was pork. And
yeah, but you know, I talked to some free staff cooks back in when I went to Donovan like '93, and they told me that pork, they removed the pork due to cost. They said it wasn't the Muslims, you know, and they said it was due to cost. And then, of course, PIA took over the food production.
Right.
I don't know what year you got out of prison, you know, but PI runs all the food now. Almost everything they get in the prisons now is different. Like talking about DVI, the food manager there, she passed away, but her name was Ann Leffler. And what people don't understand is, like, back in the day, you had a food manager, and their job, they got a budget. I remember we went on food strike one time. They went on a lunch strike at PIA, and she came and said, look, I get $2.42 a day per inmate to feed you guys, and I do the best I can. So she was allowed to buy food wherever she wanted. She would get ribs. I don't know if they had ribs when you were there. We had ribs. And she would get the ribs donated from the local hog farmers and stuff. So she was allowed to do that. But now PIA production has taken over almost all the food. It's done by prison industry. And Ann Leffler was a food manager at another prison, and she fed people pretty crappy, and they firebombed her office. The guys that were there told me that her office looked like just a charred out pit, you know, just a hole in the wall, charred out from fire. So when she went to Tracy, she changed her tune, you know. She yeah, she got some act right. You know?
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's funny. I understand that the rolls now come in a box.
You know, I don't even get rolls. They give you a little turnover crap, and
yeah, that's basically what it was. Yeah,
they do a lot of coffee cake now, and you know, they took the sugar out of the prison, so there's very little sugar in the kitchens anymore. So all the cake mix is a prefab stuff. All they do is add water and mix it up, throw it on the sheet pan and bake it, and it's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
And they give you coffee cake a lot when we used to get cinnamon rolls, and like you know that they used to make cinnamon rolls right there in the bakery. I mean, from scratch. They'd use the flour and everything, and they were huge. They were nice, big. They had nice glaze on them. They were good. You got them once a week, and they were pretty good. Those
Smell the
days
whole
are
house
over.
cooking, huh? The whole house would be like, damn, cinnamon roll day.
The bakers took pride in what they did, you know.
Absolutely. So, so we're already in prison, but we haven't spoken as to how we got there. So why don't you give us a quick little run-in to, you know, what led you to head into the house, and during that, once you get to the house, explain how much time you've done in the house.
Yeah.
You know, so give us a quick little rundown.
You know, I was born in San Jose, and you know, my mom and dad got divorced. They split up. My dad left when I was about 1.5 years old, and my mom married my stepdad, who raised me. We moved to San Diego when I was about 8, and I lived from there on, you know, until I went to prison and stuff. But my stepdad was a roofer and a Korean War vet and an alcoholic, and you know, he was a hard dude. He was a roofer from the time he was 16 years old. So, and he was good at it. I was on the roof when I was 10 years old, 10, 11, 12, 13, you know, roofing houses with him. And he roofed houses with a hatchet. He had a nail gun in his truck. He wouldn't use it. And he wouldn't let me use it. And he could roof a house faster with a hatchet than guys could with a nail gun. He was a phenomenal roofer. But he was a real asshole, man. He was mean, and he was a drunk. And he would come home drunk, you know, nice one day, mean the next. And when I say mean, I mean, like, you know, you didn't pick up all the dog shit in the backyard, you know, you got smacked. And I don't mean slapped. You got smacked, knocked down, kicked, you know, beat. And
that was how we grew up, bro. You know, that's why I tell people on my first story that, you know, you know, I was locked out of the house, and, you know, I caught ass whoopings here and there, and I'd take off, but that was the era for all of us. You know what I mean? And so I want them to understand that there was no DCFS, and there was no, I'll call fucking on you. And, you know, because kids threaten their parents with that shit nowadays.
Right.
You know, you hit me
there was no one to call and say, hey, you know, matter of fact, you know, when we lived in San Diego, I used to play football, Pop Warner football, and, you know, he made me quit because he got mad because I used to ride my bicycle like 6-7 miles to go to practice. And my mom would pick me up on her way home from work, throw my bike in the trunk and take me home. We came home late. We had a football function. They were going to have a banquet. And they were arguing, you know. I was like, I think I was 11, you know. And the guy was smacking my mom around and shit. So I ran down the street to my friend's pad. His dad was a cop, you know. His dad was a highway patrol guy. And, you know, I knock on the door and they're all, what's the matter? You know, I was a little kid, you know, I was like 11, so I'm crying and shit. And I go, you know, my dad's beating my mom, you know, and this guy's a cop. You know, in my mind, I'm a kid. I'm thinking, hey, this guy's a cop.
He'll stop her.
This shit will get straightened out, right? And they go, hold on a minute. I mean, he was an asshole. He didn't even tell me, you know, come on in, nothing, right? So I wait on the porch, and he comes back out, and he tells me everything's all right, go home. Just like that. I mean, that's how things were back in the day. You know, you beat your kids or your wife, now you're going to jail.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, it wasn't like that back then, you know. It was, so I grew up with this dude, you know, he's violent, you know, mean. And you know, I couldn't figure out why in the fuck my mom put this guy in the house. You know, why'd you marry this dude and make me have to grow up around this dude, you know? And part of my mom's punishment towards my real dad was like, you know, I never got to see my dad. So that was his punishment. You know, you're not going to see your son, right? It's whatever happened
so
between
you were used as a tool.
Yeah, I was used as a tool, a pawn, and her little hatred towards my dad. You know, my mom's real narcissistic, controlling. Everything's about her, you know? So, yeah, that was, and, you know, parents that do that kind of crap, they use kids as pawns. They don't understand, you know, the effects it has on the kid, you know?
Right.
So
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
It's all good. So, you know, they got divorced when I was about 12, and that was it, man. You know, I was like, all right, the heavy hand of discipline and authority and abuse was gone. So I just kind of went crazy. I was already smoking weed and drinking and taking pills, you know, and you know, I did right before they got divorced. I got into it with a gym teacher, a PE teacher in junior high. Um, yeah, I'd go out to PE and stuff, and then come in and wet my hair, get dressed, and go smoke some weed for my next class. And this guy came in and told me to take a shower, and I'm like, yeah, I already showered. And he's like, no, you didn't, you know. And he's kind of getting on me, and I told him, hey, fuck you, old man, you know. And he slapped me in the face, made my nose bleed. And so, you know, I said, man, I'm gonna fuck that guy up, you know. And my little homeboy's like, man, are you gonna? And of course, you know, I said it, so I had to do it, right? So I went in his office and smacked him in the mouth, and I split his lip open, you know, and I got kicked out of school for that. But I did get arrested for that. My stepdad came down, and that was his thing. Don't let anyone put their hands on me. You know? And he told the cops, hey, if you're going to arrest my son, you're going to arrest me because I'm going to beat that guy's ass. He said he didn't have he didn't have permission to put his hands on me, basically. You know, that's what he was telling them. But yeah, so he moved on, you know, and also my cousins, man, were older. They were kind of a positive influence on me, even though they were smoking weed and drinking and shit. But, you know, they moved back to San Jose area along with my dad and my uncles. So I'm running around San Diego, you know, Lakeside area, El Cajon, just running them up, you know. And
when you were inside, did you claim San Diego? Where did you claim?
Yeah, I'm from Lakeside, San Diego car, you know, but I'm from Lakeside. That's a town inside San Diego.
So, okay.
It's kind of notorious. It's kind of on the outskirts of town by Indian reservation, you know. So I went to school with the Indians and the biker types, and the Indians used to get together and have little fights with the cowboy types, you know.
Right.
That was our thing out there. But so excuse me. You know, I used to run off for 3-4 days and party with my friends and kick it and then go home. And you know, so one time I had been out for like 4 or 5 days, and I went down to get something to eat from fast food, and saw my mom. She pops the door open, the car says, get in, you know. So I'm like, all right, you know, fuck it, I'll go home for a few days and then whatever. And she drove me to the sheriff office, man, and turned me over to the sheriff's. I was 12, you know, and I'm like, man, what's going on, you know? And later on, you know, she said that she had told them she was having trouble with me, and they told her, yeah, we'll turn them over to us and we'll take them to juvenile hall, and they'll put them on probation and they'll give you help with them, which never
happened.
Yeah, it didn't happen. There was no help. So that was my first experience with law enforcement and juvenile hall and all that. You know, just progressed from there. I got busted, you know, with drugs and weed, reds, all that kind of stuff, in and out of juvenile hall. And they sent me to a juvenile camp, and I escaped. And I told them, you send me back to that juvenile camp, I'm going to run off again. I ain't having it, you know. So they gave me 30 days on the street. And the judge says, you know, basically if I program, I could stay out on probation. And if I fucked up, I was going to youth authority. So needless to say, I ended up in youth authority, right? So I went through, you know, SRCC in Norwalk. It wasn't that bad. But then I went to Nellis, and, you know, it's like just turned 13. And, you know, I was a big kid. I was already like 6 foot tall. And so put me on a unit with guys that were, you know, 17, 18, up to like 22. And, you know, I'm 13 years old, man. I go in the unit, and everyone's at school except these 2 black dudes are in the day room, and they're like, hey, man, sit down, you know, check it out. So I'm like, all right, you know. Hey, look, I never been around gangs, and really, like the Crips and Bloods, they were still brand new. This like 73, 74 around there, you know.
Right.
It's all brand new stuff, and they're all pretty young, most of them. But, you know, these guys told me, yeah, man, like, when you get a visit, you can bring back 2 packs of cigarettes. So bring back Cools, you know. I'm like, you know, why would I do that? They said, well, that's what we smoke. I'm like, well, you know, I'm not bringing, you know, fucking cigarettes, you know. Fuck that. I smoke, you know. Why would I bring you cigarettes, right? But they're like, well, we're holding down this unit. And I'm so green. I don't know what holding down means. I said, what, like it's going to float away? What do you mean? And they're like, we're running this shit, basically. So I'm like, whatever, then guys come back from school. I had a little 8-track player, and somebody stole it out of my locker. And I told my homeboy that I was in juvenile camp with. Actually, we had escaped together, I said, hey, George, man, somebody stole my little radio, man. And so he goes, you better find it, and he goes, if you let them take your shit, man, they're going to take everything you got. And so I started digging through a few lockers and, motherfuck this and, your kids, man, and the whole mama stuff, you talk bad about someone's mama and stuff. And some like, whoever took my stuff, the mama's a punk and a bitch and go on. So they could see there was going to, yeah, that just brings it out,
Yeah.
Someone's going to step up. So they could see there was going to be a problem. So the laundry room guy had, whoever stole it had given it to him. So he gave it back to my homeboy and that was that, But, Nellis, man, it was a vicious place, man. I mean, I got more violent stuff in youth authority than I did in prison. Prison was more deadly, but youth authority was more violent, and it was like Rat Pack time. Like, you got 4 white dudes, 5 white dudes living in a unit with 40, 45 guys. You got 15 Mexicans, 20, 30 blacks, and 4 whites.
Right.
So we were, we were at the short end of the stick all the time. And,
them were pussies.
Yeah, some of them were, but I mean, really, you couldn't be a pussy too much. You really, and you get introduced to all the rules, like, because you can smoke in youth authority. So it's like no smoking after blacks, no eating after blacks, no. That's when all the racial shit started coming in real tough. And not that I had ever done any of that stuff, but just like it was never an issue. And so now it's an issue. Now the racial shit starts coming in. We're divided. Everyone's divided. And so it was rough, man. I mean, you go around the building to take a piss in the bathroom around back, and 3, 4 dudes come up and jump on you, beat the shit out of you. And sometimes white dudes will just sit there and watch because they're scared to get involved. It was ugly, And so I decided, I wasn't going to have that. Well, what happened was they have a little canteen on each unit, and someone broke into the canteen with a weight bar, and they stole all the tobacco and stuff out of there. And they blamed it on me. There were black dudes that did it, but then they went and told the staff that I did it. So like, yeah, we're going to add another 9 months to your term. And I'm thinking, man, screw that, I'm not doing another 9 months. So I planned to escape, and I had a big chessboard. It had like plywood with wood on top of it, and they made in a wood shop. And they had this Iranian counselor, and he's walking, the beds are side by side, and he's walking down the middle, kicking all the hank rags up to the front, and I get out of bed, and he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm just putting my stuff away. And he turned around, man, and I beat his head in with that chessboard, And I turned around to get a rope. I was going to knock him out and tie him up and get his keys and run off. That was my big deal, I was going to. I turned around to get the rope and turned back around, and he had ran out, and he was in the office, and he was on the phone saying, get Smiley, And yeah, they jacked quite a few years back onto my term for that, and I was like, fuck, So now I'm looking at I went in there on a 6 to 9 month term, and I'm looking at doing like 4 years now. And, so I got in some more trouble, and in order to give me any more time, they had to take me in front of the parole board. A little bit of time has gone by, And I have this hearing, they're asking me all kinds of questions, and it was kind of weird because it wasn't just, like, hey, we're going to give you more time. And I stepped out, went back in, and they're like, hey, we're going to send you home. I'm like, wow, what's up? And they're like, you came in here at a young age, and we don't want you to get institutionalized, so we're going to release you. And so I had like 6 months or something to wait. So they transferred me up to OH Close up north by Stockton. And I got in some trouble up there. I've been in a place where guys are fighting all the time, a lot of violence, gangs, to this really peachy, whatever, go along, get along place. And I'm like, you know, these guys are saying that this dude was a rat, you know, and I'm like, well, why don't you beat that guy down, you know? So I came out of the chow hall into the day room. They're connected. And I said, hey, dude, you're a rat, you know? And he's like, nah, I ain't a rat, you know, whatever. So I grabbed a couple balls off the pool table and smashed his head in with pool balls. And, you know, I got then guys, same guys that were telling me this dude was a rat, they ratted on me for doing that, you know?
Right.
Yeah. They took my release date, you know, and they said, we're going to add on another 6 months. And they sent me to Preston and to Paso Robles. And I'm like, you know, I'm super pissed off now because I'm not going home, you know, and I'm like, all right, you know. So I was on the reception unit and I had a homeboy there named Ricky. And he got into it with this dude. And this guy was a Jewish kid, you know, but his little thing wasn't because he was a Jew. He just didn't like him. He beat him up. So all these guys are running around with swastikas tattooed on them and, you know, white power. And they're talking about jumping on my homeboy for beating up this guy who was a Jew. I thought it was kind of funny. So, you know, I go through the chow line. I seen one of them, and I'm like, hey, man, you know, if you fuck with my homeboy, I'm going to stab you, you know. And, you know, he's San Diego homeboy, and he's a good dude, you know. And he's living in a unit with like 4 white dudes, and all these other guys are living in a unit with like 20 dudes in the drug program. And so anyway, next thing you know, I go to committee and they send me to the hole. The hole had a lockup side, like ad seg, and then a program side. So I'm like, man, what's up? You know, they're like, we're putting you over here to your parole. So I did my last 6 months in this lockup side, you know, in the program of the hole. I got in a few fights and shit, but no big deal. Yeah, it wasn't segregated, so I got in a fight with this dude. He was, you know, black dude. But before I left, the Protestant chaplain came down and told me, hey, man, them dudes went to him and told him that I was threatening them, you know. And so he went to staff and had me put in there. And he goes, the reason I did that was because, you know, I want to see you go home. You came in at a really young age, and I want to see you go home. I don't want to see you get any more trouble and get more time. So I was like, yeah, all right, whatever, cool, you know. And so I paroled from there. One thing I do, though, backtracking, like when I was in Nellis, you know, we used to get jumped on all the time. And most of them dudes jumping on us were Crip dudes, you know. I actually ran into one of them in prison. And you know, I didn't realize it, but he had a couple murders back then, and he was in prison for another murder, you know, and we actually became kind of tight, you know. He was pretty cool, you know. But there was another black dude there. Like one day they were like mobbing on us, you know. I'm like, ah, man, here it goes, you know. And this other black dude kind of slid up on the side, and he was a blood. You know, he's a Pyru. And I tripped out because all the other Pyrus were all in their own unit. And they worked the grounds crew, and their boss' name was Don Treat. His son got killed by Crips, so all he wanted was Pyru guys to work with him, you know. And but anyway, this guy slides up and he looks at these dudes, and he looks at us, and he goes, hey man, leave these white boys alone, man. They're not messing with you. And I kind of looked at him kind of strange. He goes, you heard what I said. And they just walked away, man. I was like, wow, you know. And later on, I met that guy in prison a couple times. I saw him at Corcoran, and I saw him in Tracy. Then I saw him when we were doing a long-term offender program. So I was in 3 different prisons with that guy later on in life, you know. I always reminded him about that, you know, that I had remembered that. And yeah, it was a trip. But yeah, I paroled out of Paso Robles, and you know, I had a shitty attitude, you know. You don't learn coping skills whatsoever. All you learn is how to fight.
That's it, bro.
So I lasted about 4 months, and beat some guy down over 25 cents in a pool hall over a foosball game. I was like 16, I think. Beat the shit out of this guy's like 20. But they were college. He was a college dude, and his parents got mad. We knocked his teeth out and all this stuff and called the cops. So 4th of July, I got arrested, and I got sent back to youth authority for a year. And I have family that live up by Preston, so I use that to get transferred to Preston because for older guys in YA, they had YTS down in Ontario, and they had Preston. And YTS was like Nellis. It was like 3 or 4 white dudes on a unit, and it was ugly. And then Preston was known as the White House, you know, because they had so many white inmates that, you know, it was it's called the White House. So I got transferred up there, and you know, I'd never seen any like north-south stuff with the Mexicans or whites, you know. So I get up there and I got white dudes from up north and white dudes from down south, and I'm on the fuck up unit. You know, I'm on the unit with guys that are like 25 years old, and I'm 16, you know. And then they got other units up on the hill that are for younger guys, not so serious, you know. They're not PC, but they're not all that, you know. So half these dudes want me to go over there. Like, hey, he's young, he don't belong on this unit. And the other guys are like, you know, they like me, like little Louis, he's from San Fernando Valley, and Louis Ash. And so they go, hey, you know how to go chess? I go, yeah, I know how to go chess. And it's like fighting, but just hit each other in the chest, you know. They've been like goading me, you know, poking at me and shit, and I'm kind of pissed off, you know. So they had me go chess with this dude. They call him Elvis. He played guitar and shit, you know. He was like, this dude's like 23 years old, you know. So we get him up, you know, and I put welts all over his chest and purple marks, and you know, smacked him in the face a couple times on accident, on purpose, you know. And
For sure.
you know, and finally staff, they would let us do that shit, and the staff's like, hey, that's enough, you know. And so Louis put his arm around me, you know. He's from the valley, and he's laughing. He goes, any of you other guys want to say want him to go up to the hill still, you know?
Right.
That kind of settled that. But yeah, I stayed there for a while, and then there was this Mexican cat, man, from Stockton. He had a cherry bomb. I'm a fuck up, you know. I was fucking up. So he goes, hey, I got a cherry bomb, you know. I'm like, cool. And shoot it, you know. He was scared to light it, I guess. But the staff used to slide your mail under the door, you know, and the counselor's going down picking up the mail. He was at my neighbor's, and I slid it out. It's like, boom, you know, it's in the hallway. And I think that dude shit his pants, you know. They got mad at me. They had enough of me. They sent me over the hole, you know. It was the same thing. You had a program side and a lockdown side in Tamarack, you know. And the white dudes over there, you had to be invited over there to the program side. Like, they didn't want you there. You weren't staying. I'm in the hole, and they shoot word over, hey, come on over, you know. I'm like, cool. So I go to the program side of the hole, and then later on, this guy shows up, and they don't like him. And they sent a dude up to his cell, had a little test tube of gasoline, and they made a little, because you got bars on your door there, you know, and it's an old school unit. And they shot a little slingshot, a test tube of gas, like a Molotov cocktail, but just a little one, you know, into his cell to, man, you know, get the fuck off the unit. So he went back to this unit he came from, and you know, he was running his head, and so they're like, hey, we got to go, you know, tune that guy up. So we went to church, you know, and on the way back from church, we caught him around the swimming pool, and you know, beat him down a little bit, and you know, they seen it because they got a big tower there, you know, and so we go back to the unit, and they locked us all up and everything, and then they left me. I had 30 days left, and my cell looked out over the yard, you know, the handball court and all that kind of stuff, and so I had to spend my last 30 days in my cell. I couldn't come out except for shower, you know. They let me out for chow and a shower. That was it. And so
that was probably enough time to get in trouble, huh?
Yeah. They wanted to see me go home, get rid of me. But, you know, guys were going to prison from Tamarack. They were going to Tracy, you know, because Preston's not that far from Tracy. And, you know, if you were an adult commitment youth authority, they would send you there. And like, I remember this northerner got sent there, and they killed him, you know, because by then the northern gang, prison gang, was locked up now. So they sent this dude to Tracy, and they put him in there with them dudes, and they killed him. He went in there like he was going to run something, and they murdered him, you know. But so that's the kind of guys that were on the unit with me. That was serious stuff, you know. And they didn't have guns or nothing like that, but they had these little pistols. They looked like little 38 snub nose thing. And they had 4 barrels like this with a plug in the center. And they would shoot you if you're fighting or whatever. They had little tear gas bullets. and the little plug in the center would break it as it came out, you know, and it would just shoot. But they would take that out and just shoot us, and the bullet, the little tear gas bullet, would break on your head, you know. Yeah, it was you know, so things were progressively getting more serious, you know, and there were guys that been there that were a little older, and they were getting letters from guys in San Quentin and Tracy that had paroled from Preston. So now I'm getting more familiar with, you know, prison, right?